Hey everybody, Johnny Disc Golf back with another off-season interview. This time, I am joined by newly minted Team Dynamic Discs player, Miss Valerie Mandujano. How you doing?
I am doing well. How about you?
I'm surviving. I'm doing really good. Today is technically my birthday, January 19th, so happy birthday to me.
Well, happy birthday. I did not know that.
Thank you very much. I know, working on my birthday, I got to do like a shopping list for equipment. It's a whole deal. It's through off-season is real right now.
Yeah.
But question to you, how has the off-season been for you? I imagine it's a little busy, a little hectic maybe?
Yes. I'm had some bad news that happened to my family recently, which times it's hard. We struggle a lot on it. But we're trying to make the most of it, trying to make the most of our off season that we have left.
Mm-hmm.
We had big plans for this off season as in training wise, but considering, my grandfather passed, it took a huge hit in our family. And my grandfather wasn't just, somebody I saw occasionally. He was like my dad. He raised me, so it was very difficult. Tried to spend as much time as we possibly could with him. And that's where a lot of, the training time went, which I'm happy I got to spend all
Mm-hmm.
that time with him. But as training wise, we didn't really do much. We tried to get in around here or there. Um, but now we've been really trying to, go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, which we were doing before, but really trying to get those sessions in back to back. And then trying to just play 2 rounds a day or a round in field work just to catch up.
Yeah, I know you and your sister specifically as like grinders, really committed to the work and the process. And, a lot of people say practicing, but you guys say training. And I think that
Mhm.
that's a very big distinction that people don't make maybe. Um, I mean, is this like straight boot camp mode for you? You said you kind of had, I mean, you had priorities, you had to deal with it, but we've got like, yeah, I mean, like 6 weeks, maybe 5 weeks until the first event of the season. Are you in like straight boot camp mode right now?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Um, I have this book that I always write what I do, or at least what I
Mm,
want to do, like what I want to achieve in a day.
mm-hmm,
And during the harder times, I would write what I thought I could get done, and then I would write what I wanted to get done.
mm.
And I'd cross like one or two things off that list. And for me, crossing a check mark is such a huge accomplishment in a day for me. And then now getting to check off almost all those marks is pretty successful for myself. And yeah, I think it's straight boot camp mode for all of us right now because we're all like, I need to get better. Like this is the time to grind, and especially because of the outcome with my grandfather, it's something to take my mind off of that. And I know this is what he would have wanted for me. I know he would want me to be the best. So that's a lot more motivation for myself. So the days that I feel like, oh, I don't want to do this today, or oh, I'm feeling tired today, I want to just take a day off or just lay in bed. I know that's not what he would have wanted for me.
Wow. I mean, just as you're saying that, it's kind of, I'm getting a little bit of chillies, but it's very powerful actually. Do you find, or it's so fresh that it's hard to even have a perspective on it, but it sounds like it's almost added motivation, and you guys seem so driven and so motivated already. Like, do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel like maybe you're going to be able to turn this into a positive in that way? Like, use this as motivation to even get better and grinder and dig in deeper?
Yeah, for sure. Um, there's obviously so many different outcomes that could come out of this. And I never want it to be like negative because I know that's not what he would have wanted. He was always a positive person with me, and he was always guiding me in the right path. And he was really one of the main reasons why I went to DD because of
Mm.
the work he owed me. And I know he wouldn't have wanted me just to, get depressed and just that's it. My life is over. He'd want me excuse me, to pursue my career. So for me, this is honoring him.
I love it. And, sorry. And I love just the energy that you're bringing right now. It just feels very motivating. I want to shift to, you mentioned it. He would have wanted he was a big reason why you went to DD. Um, Talk about that signing. I mean, could you maybe talk about what his influence was in the DD signing?
Yeah. So during the process of talking about it, he was he was obviously in the process of it slowly getting sicker and sicker. And my mind was pretty cluttered with a lot of things at that time. And so I didn't really know what the right decision was for me because the contracts were pretty close at that time.
Hmm.
And then so I talked to my mom a lot about it because my mom was like my huge advisor. And so, I would ask her and she was just kind of the same page that I was on. We were both like, well, I don't know, like what could it be? But then he kind of just said like, yeah, going to DD was like a huge gamble because it was like, well, at the time I knew Kona was going, I knew, all these players were moving. And I was like, well, really, who's, with Innova at the time? Like, I could be, the number one player on that team. Like, I could really shine in there. And then I also thought I could also shine with DD, depending on my performance. DD has a huge opportunity for me to grow as a player. And that was kind of what he told me. He was just like, you were successful with Innova. Why can't you be successful with DD at the same hand? No matter how many people are on that team or no matter who's on this team. And it was kind of really what had me sitting with Innova was the putter that was the aviator. I got to see so many people throw it. I got to see how it was a success. And that's kind of the thing that wanted me to stay for a while where I couldn't make up my mind with DD. And that's kind of what he told me. He's like, well, was that putter famous before, you put your name on there? And I was like, no, like not many people were throwing it. He's like, so why can't you do that with DD? Why can't you find a disc, put your name on it and make it successful? And that was kind of the step that made me move. And I was like, that's right. Like, I even talked to Paul about it and what his look into all of it was. Cause I just wanted somebody to like help me, like
Hmm.
give me the push, tell me what's the right choice. Cause I didn't know what it was. And he gave me similar advice to it, but it wasn't the impact like my grandfather. Like I knew he was coming from, his heart saying that this is what is the best choice for you. I know you're going to do something well in this path. Don't lose who you are. Don't lose that confidence that you have in yourself. Like, what you can do, stick to the path.
Man, it really sounds like you had everything was pointing you in one direction. You had like, the emotional side pointing you towards DD. You had the logical side of like, talking to Macbeth and all sorts of other players on like kind of guiding you. And it really seems like you found a good home and a good fit for you. How talk to me about the timeline though? Was this it sounds like this was all off season, kind of like going back and forth during the off season. When did DD approach you, and when did you actually, make it official? I imagine it was before the announcement, obviously.
Yeah. Um, it was, I believe, around, I don't know, first week of November,
Mm.
late October, something like that. Um, it was actually more supposed to be about Mason. Like I was just kind of there in the background, I'd listen, just trying to help him make the best choice for him. And then I remember Eric, messaging Mason and saying like, "Hey, would Val be interested in it?" And I was kind of like, "Well, I wouldn't be against it." Like, well, what is in my mind? I just wanted to see like what the
Yeah.
offering was because I didn't think they were going to offer me really anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I just want to see, what they think my worth is. Like, sure, why not? I'm not opposed to it. And they threw an offer out there, and I was kind of like, not quite the offer I was looking for. But Eric did assist and say, like, this isn't the final offer. Like, just give me a number, work with me, talk back and forth, which he was very helpful in communication. That was
Mm-hmm.
one of the things why I was like, well, this is a great opportunity because it was so much communication back and forth to parties. It wasn't just, oh, this is the number. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. Like, not looking here, bye. And actually, Kona messaged me. I changed my phone number, which I didn't give any really, I didn't hand out my phone number just because it was a awkward time where I was just kind of like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was just hard processing a lot of things. And she messaged me on Instagram. She's like, "Hey, I reached out to you, but you didn't say anything like on your number." And I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I haven't given anybody my number." I'm like, yeah, I told her, I was like, "Here's my new phone number." She's like, "Well, I was just trying to tell you, like, I'm leaving Innova. I'm like, this is what I'm doing." And, she gave me like the heads up and whatnot. And she was like, "I think it would be a great opportunity for you to go. You can do so many things with Dynamic, you could grow." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm really like considering it." And then she was just like, "Well, if you need any help, let me know." But like she said, that's probably the reason why I left. It's just because I have so much opportunity to grow as a player with DD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question. Specifically, talking about your personal growth with DD, are there any plans on putting your name on specifically a putter, but any disc as a whole? Have you guys talked about that at all?
My goal is a putter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but we'll see. Really, we're just all talking about it right now, what would fit best for all of us. So that's all I know at the moment.
Sure, fair play. How about specifically any other, or I guess actually the opposite of specifically, but like, how about all the other discs? Is there anything that you're really enjoying? Like, I mentioned this in my interview with Mason, but one of the best parts about switching manufacturers is kind of finding that joy in the exploration of disc golf. You get into disc golf, there's a million discs you can choose from, and it's so fun, like experimenting and trying, and you buy this disc and it's useless and it sits on your rack forever. Have you kind of like fallen back into that joy a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming off the tour, I kind of just felt not done with disc golf, but like I had so much already going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on the full tour, which I've never done. So I was already getting a little burned out. And I was like, I don't really want to play disc golf right now. It's not what I want to do. And then the idea of switching, popped up. And I even told Mason, I was like, I think if I switch, I would be a better player for it. And he looked at me like, well, why would you say that? And I was like, well, just because the drive I'm going to have to switch to new discs, and I'm going to have to learn them. So I'm going to have to put even more time in than, having my old bag and thinking I could just go do field work and just throw,
Mm-hmm.
instead of, oh, well, what can this disc do? I can possibly put a new shot in my bag. And that way, yes, it was exciting. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but I was with Latitude before I was with Innova. So I have a lot of my old stuff. I'm still trying to dig out everything because it's all buried in the garage. So I'm really excited to try some of that stuff. And like Destiny, the Bolt, I used to throw when I was the amateur, and I throw it now, and it's so flippy for me now. Instead of before, it was super overstable. So that's pretty unique to see. But for some molds that I really like, mine and Mason's bags are super similar.
Shocker.
Yeah. So good. It's a good thing because of all his beat-in stuff when they get too seasoned.
Ooh.
And it's perfect for me. But like the Maverick, I've been loving. The Maverick's pretty straight to understable for me. I already know what I'm going to do. And then the Fuse, I really like the Fuse. I bagged 2 of them. And then the Grace. I've been really liking the Grace and the Trespasses. I have 4 of those in my bag.
Wow. So one thing, and I hate to like go disc by disc and compare and contrast and that sort of thing, but like one thing I knew you as is an absolutely deadly Nova thrower. One of the most unique discs in disc golf, regardless, but is there something that you've been eyeballing as like your kind of straight, not quite a mid-range length, but like, the island hole at Worlds this past year, kind of that straight downhill glidey shot?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the reason why I was so like I could throw the Nova so well was because I learned a couple of unique styles to throw it, which was kind of just getting, the nose up floaty, and that's what I felt like really helped me throw it. I have this beat-in Warden that I've been throwing, and it's very similar to it. Obviously, I have to just throw it the right way. And then I also have this first run Warden that I've been throwing. I haven't thrown too much because the courses I'm playing are very rocky. And so I'm kind of saving it for a nice ball golf looking course right now. So,
well, let's, shift off the discs a little bit. One of the mantras that was really been thrown around and mentioned a lot during this whole DD transition period, specifically from the DD infrastructure, is the Trilogy Family. Trilogy Family, welcome to the Trilogy Family. It's really they've been like hammering it. You are touring with family. Was there any consideration to go with that family and maybe side with Discraft, or was it kind of DD like from the get?
It was DD from the get though. Yeah. Like, I think we yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I think yeah.
It's totally fine. But in going further down that road, though, you're going to be touring again with family. It's going to be you, Mason, and Alexis all in the tour van, and you guys are doing a split wrap, kind of a split sponsorship. Could you talk about, was it ever in discussion like, yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to tour together, or was it like both companies coming together and we get this, we support it, we love it?
Yeah, it's super exciting because obviously, like Mason said, I don't think anybody has done this. So to be the first, this was
Hmm.
actually that was supposed to happen last year, the beginning of the year, and didn't didn't pursue it. DD, I was happy that they agreed to do it.
Hmm.
Uh, it was it's a huge step for all of us. I think it
Hmm.
shows how close we truly are. Alexis is my sister, but she's like my person. And I don't ever want to tour or leave without her anywhere. She's actually leaving to Michigan today, and it's the first time we've been separated, and we can't remember it. Yeah, we can't remember it.
Uh-huh.
It's very sad because we've been dreading it the entire week. We were thinking about it. We're like,
Oh.
"You're leaving. Like, when was the last time we've been apart?" And she actually said, "Like, well, why don't you come with?" And I'm like, "I don't think it looked right. It wouldn't." And so we decided for me to stay. And but yeah, it's super exciting. Like even Mason and Alexis, they're really close. They're like
Hmm.
best friends themselves. I think it just shows how close we all are. We're willing to rap, an RV, and we all went in on it. So I feel like it's only fair. Last year, Discraft could have wrapped the whole thing, but it wouldn't have been exactly fair to us.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. And it's really about like making it all work together. I feel like you guys do have a really special thing going on where it's very familial, very comfortable, and I just love that the disc golf community can maybe put, sides aside or business lines aside and support a group of people just trying to live the dream. Um, Speaking of kind of traveling with people you're close with, though, last year I feel like I saw art more than most players out on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk about what it's been like to have your family, not only your sister, but your parents have been at
Yeah.
basically every event as well, or most of them at least?
Yeah, they were with us since the beginning.
Hmm.
We always talked about it, like our family touring with us, as in my parents.
Hmm.
Um, it was something that we've seen since the beginning where we were like, well, if we go on tour, we want to go with like an RV or something that's big enough to carry us all. And then obviously me and Mason met, and he was just like, hey, I want a tour too. So we were like, okay, well, perfect. The
Hmm.
more, the merrier for us. Um, but yeah, it was a dream of ours since the beginning to tour with my parents because they were such a huge influence into our life. They weren't just somebody I've seen, on the weekends. It was day to day thing. They were always playing with us. They were always wanting to get better, and that's how we started disc golf was playing with my family.
Hmm.
Um, so for us, when they see us compete, it's exciting. There's times where you get the faces, you get the snapbacks, which is
Yeah.
normal, or snap, and we're just like, didn't mean it, so sorry. But it's amazing touring with them and traveling with them. Like, after our practice rounds, like my mom and dad stay in the RV most of the practice rounds. And once we come back from our practice rounds or anything, it's great to see my mom. I always, if I'm having a hard day, I could always use a hug or even to sit there and talk about some things. It's always nice to have her. And then my dad, he helps out with the driving and whatnot. But yeah, for me, it's huge for me to have my parents with me. It's just like another comfort blanket, and they don't like to go out too much. We try to take them out. We're just like, hey, let's go bowling, or hey, let's go do this, and they're just kind of like, no, you guys go. We're fine. We'll just sit back in the RV. But I've always been around them. Like I said, we've done everything together for fun, and I've always enjoyed having them around. So it's really special them being able to come with us.
Um, Gosh, you just saying that kind of popped this idea. Are they in the RV too when you guys are traveling? And or are they getting a hotel room? Because that is not a lot of beds in that thing for a lot of people. Are you guys all crammed in the RV when you're touring?
Yeah, we are.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they actually we have a queen size bed in the back, and then
Okay.
our folds out to a queen, and then the table pulls out. You could fit two people, but we just have one sleeping there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, okay. Fair enough. So let's talk a little bit about as I get this phone call over here, gonna hang up on that. Let's talk about last year a little bit though. Your last year with Innova, your first year full time on tour though. How do you feel personally like it went?
Not that good. I'm going to be dead. So yeah, I didn't hit any of my goals. I just
Ah.
felt like I wasn't me playing. Um, yeah, I didn't feel like it was a very successful year for myself. I had a lot of, I guess a lot of people say that they're hard goals, and it was pretty hard to reach. But if you would have asked anybody in the disc golf scenes, would Mason win his first year on tour, what would they have said? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I know what I could have done, and I wanted to prove it at least not to anybody but myself, to
Hmm.
show what I was capable of. But like it was getting top five at every event, at least winning one event, and I didn't succeed to hit any of those goals. So it was kind of like a low blow where I was like, I could have done well here. Like the throw pink event,
Hmm.
intention of winning, and I felt like I was. I really did. And then 17 happened, or even before that, 16 missing
Hmm.
the putt to stay. I think with one of Missy.
Hmm.
That was just disappointing in myself, where I was like, I know I could have made that. I know I could have won. Um, but yeah, I mean, we live and we learn, and that's
Hmm.
really what I'm trying to do is learn more. Um, yeah.
Yeah, Mason really kind of put it elegantly, saying he was just really focused on learning as much as he could from each of the events. Whether it was a good performance or a bad performance. And especially like when you're talking about your first couple years on tour, like half the battle is learning how to tour, learning how to get into the city, learn the courses. Not playing them blind. You get practice rounds, but like you come back 3, 4, 5 years, it starts to feel a little bit more comfortable. So just as long as learning and taking something is a success in its own right. Um, Last year, you said was a little bit of a down year. This year, the field is just getting tougher. A lot of the social media posts, a lot of the hubbub right now, especially in the FPO division, is talking about all the Finns and Estonians that are coming over. How do you feel like your chances are going into next year? I mean, you've got a new bag. The field is deeper than ever, but how do you feel going into next year?
Um, I feel like I can compete with them. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's just going to be me really. Like if I'm confident in myself in that week and putting everything together in my bag, I know I can win. It is going to be harder, don't get me wrong, it is because they are really good. But
Yeah.
it's just going to be how bad do I want it? Do I want to, go and putt after the rounds? Am I going to push myself that much more? Or am I going to realize when enough is enough on how much I've played that day? Am I going to take it? Because it's like I think that's one of the things me and Alexis struggle with the most, and even Mason at times, is finding the right balance, finding the when it's time to sit back and say I need an off day, and then
Mm-hmm.
when it's time to okay, I'm going to grind this out. I'm going to go play 3 rounds today. So I think for us, it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of learning if this is the day I should push myself, or is this the day I should take a break? So I think for all of us, it's just learning that point. And for me, yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, that's all you can do, really. Focus on yourself, get yourself in a good place, and then, kind of let the chips fall as they may. There's not really a ton you can do to control who's playing or how they're shooting or what putts are going in.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. So you mentioned that you. You mentioned that you didn't hit any of your goals from last year. That implies that you are someone who sets goals, who, specifically has outcomes that they'd like to see. What are your goals for next year? Are they process driven, like 200 putts a day? Are they, specific tournaments that you want to win? What are you looking forward to next year?
It was so much everything. I kind of just stated it was like placing, top five. Now it's probably I'm probably going to try to take it off a little easier for me because I felt like last year I just crammed too much in. I didn't like you said, I didn't really know what we were up against going
Mm-hmm.
into it. Staying in the RV, it was a lot itself. So I think maybe even place, top seventh, anywhere from top seven to first. That's really my goal. And then to win, at least win one. I just want one win. I just
Just give me
want,
one.
just give me one, if not a couple. But it's just to push some pressure off.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me last year, I would be like, I want to win five. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I just need to push some pressure off and see how it goes then. And I think as we go into the year and as we see where I'm starting to place or how I'm playing, then I'll up my goals a little bit. But for right now, I think that's where I'm sitting.
All right. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to top seven every single event. Maybe a couple W's out of you next year.
Yeah.
But that's honestly about all I have for this interview. I did want to give you a chance though. Is there anything we didn't cover that you'd like to talk about, or any thanks, shout outs to sponsors? Anybody out there?
I don't think there's anything really we didn't cover. But just a shout out to my sponsor, I guess. A shout out to, sorry, go ahead.
No. Who are your sponsors? I assume it's going to be Dynamic Discs, but yeah, floor is yours. Anybody you want to thank?
Uh, Thanks to Dynamic Disc, Lucky Ace, and birdie few.
Ooh, birdie fuel. Perfect. I got to get some of that coffee for myself.
Sure.
Um, Shouts though to you. I really appreciate your time. I know you got to get Alexis out to the airport, which is
Yeah.
like an hour away. So good luck with that drive. But that's all I got for this interview. For all of you at home, if you would like coverage of all things disc golf, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.